3, 2, 1.
Episode 23. For those of you guys that it's super dark.
Hold up.
You guys see him somewhere in there?
Is that better?
Yeah, we got our special guest coming in here in a second as well. There he is.
What's up, boys?
There he
on?
is.
You driving back home?
Yeah, man, I just got off shift. So I got off late. I was telling Jeremiah that overtime is something, man.
Hey, you get to buy more dragons now, right?
Hey, that's the plan.
There you go. Win.
Yeah, whatever you buy, just don't buy the two that I got, set aside for me by Ruby. That's all that matters.
Hey, two of them? Baller.
All right, guys. So like I was saying, tonight's episode's going to be a super cool one. We're going to be doing bearded dragons breeding for beginners from top to bottom. If you guys got questions, definitely ask them in the chat. I'll be going through answering all the questions I see in the chat. I've compiled a list of my own questions that we're going to be asking John, who will be our expert. For those of you guys that don't know, it's pretty much like my mentor. This is somebody I look up to in the industry. That's why I always try to get him on here as much as I can.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you,
Saludos.
Josh, for at least getting on in the car, making it happen any way you can. Damn, we got chat's cracking tonight. There's so many people. All right, guys. So we're just gonna get it started. Jump into this right away. John, if you're new to the hobby and you plan on breeding, what would you say is the most important part of the process?
So the most important thing of the process, and unfortunately most of us learn this kind of as we go, right? So sometimes it's too late. We learn by experience and stuff like that. But I definitely think that the most important thing is patience. And I think I said that in the first episode that I was on. But patience is like super, super key. Patience and research. So I would say for sure do your research on what you think you're doing. Ask people. I mean, don't get discouraged when you ask people and they're like, tell you to F off, Just keep asking different people, because some people are, not really willing to share information, but there are a lot of us, like you guys and myself, that are willing to help people. It's for the best for everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely ask around, and not always will someone tell you to fuck off, but some people aren't super active with their chat, and they might have 10,000 followers and get 100 requests a day to message, and they just don't see your requests. So don't always think that they're saying fuck off. Some people will tell you that, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. I know firsthand. Yeah.
They do it without really telling you, but just kind of let you know that they're annoyed. But
my favorite one is when they just leave you on red. You ask the question, you left on red. That's a fuck you.
Yeah, and I'm a pretty busy guy, but I always make time to either answer your question or send you a link. Where you can find the answer. I have a pretty good source for like basic questions, things like that about nutrition. There's not too many about breeding on there because it's kind of a group that is kind of against breeding because there's a lot of reckless breeding. But nutrition, care, setup, stuff like that, I could definitely help you out with the link.
Yeah, so, just to touch on that topic real quick, I'm glad you said that. The reason I got these guys together to make this video is because if you typed in on Google how to breed bearded dragons, you are going to go down so many rabbit holes and find no information. You're going to find nothing. You're going to see a bunch of people from White Hot Dragons from 7 years ago show you a fucking Dave Kaufman video of their facility. When you type in breeding bearded dragons, even on YouTube, on Google, there is no information. And the information that is out there is 10 years old. So a lot of shit has changed since then. We've learned a lot.
Yeah, and not to mention new morphs that weren't around maybe 10 years, maybe like 15 years ago, or maybe even 10 years ago, they weren't around, that are like really complicated to work with, you know?
Yeah. I don't see any videos that talk about whiplets. Nothing.
Whiplets
Nothing
and
has
zeros.
touched on that gene at all. Like, the only thing they talk about is like tiger and hypo, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, people don't even use those words anymore.
Yeah, tiger.
All right.
So definitely research, and patience.
Patience is key, definitely. I totally agree with that one a lot. I see
So
a lot of people rushing into it, trying to be like the next hottest thing, and patience is only going to help you in the long run. And we're going to touch on that too later on. I got a few other questions that are going to...
I want to touch on what I mean by patience. Like, what are you patient to, right? What am I patient? What am I being patient to? So for sure, I'll explain that whenever you want me to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's touch on that right now. What do you mean by patience?
So there's patience on a lot of different things, right? So, but the biggest thing is when you acquire a dragon, right? No matter how old it is. Are we still good? Oh,
yeah.
So no matter how old it is or whatever, just patience. Don't immediately throw it on there with the male or whatever just because you think it's ready. But patience as to seeing the signs, right? Like age, signs of breeding, knowing when it's ready. What else? Patience too. Mainly, it's going to be about age and size, really. Just because the dragon is age ready doesn't mean it's ready. Just because it's size ready, it's definitely not ready. So have the patience to wait and to know exactly what to do with that dragon and when.
Yeah, definitely, because sexual maturity has nothing to do with how big the dragon is. Guys. The reproductive system doesn't care that the dragon's 400 grams or 300 grams. It could be a small 3-year-old dragon that's ready to reproduce, and she doesn't get over 350 grams. She's just small for life. And you could have a 1-year-old dragon that someone just fed like crazy, got it up to 450, 500 grams as a 1.5-year-old, and is just breeding it, and honestly, it's probably not ready.
Yeah. I've seen dragons that are 8 months old at 400 grams.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like, man, and a lot of this is my personal opinion, just in research and just time doing it. But getting your dragon to 400, 350 grams in 8 months is not good. Like, you think, oh my God, my dragon's so healthy, but no, all you're doing is making your dragon grow at an unnatural rate and forcing the organs not to grow properly, essentially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people get stuck on just worrying about how much the dragon weighs. Like, that's like the number one thing. It just has to hit a certain weight, and then she's ready to breed.
Well, I think the problem is a lot of people get dragons that they think are a lot older than what they are, but in reality they're only 8, 9 months old, and they were sold as a 2-year-old dragon. You know what I mean? Because they get bounced around so many hands.
Yeah.
And also, don't rush. Like, when you buy a dragon, don't forget your like 30 to 45-day quarantine. Don't just buy a dragon and throw it right in with another female that you just bought. Like, patience is with everything. Make sure you're doing the right morphs. You're doing head-to-head, or you're at least doing the research. If you don't know that it's a het, then breed it like it's a het for everything. Unless you specifically know what the parents were and know that there's no possible hets that you're unaware of, then you breed that dragon as a possible het everything. Patience is a lot. Feeding, don't just power feed it. Be patient. I think a dragon proper growth would be, around 150, 200 grams a year. If you're getting, your dragon to 250 grams, 200 grams within the first year, that's pretty average, I would say. But a 400-gram dragon or 350-gram dragon in 8 months, that's ridiculously crazy.
Yeah.
I
There's
feel
spoiling your dragon, and then there's like power feeding, which you're just gonna, like we talked in the last podcast, you're probably gonna end up causing a bunch of fat problems with it, fatty liver disease,
Yeah.
fatty pockets, a bunch of other stuff that the dragon can't get rid of and expel fast enough.
Yeah.
there's been times where I see people that have hatchlings the same age as mine, and they're 4 times the size, and I'm like, how the hell? Like I feed my good food, you know what I mean? And I just sometimes people just feed a lot more times a day and a lot more fattier foods, but sometimes I look at people's dragons and I'm like, how the hell is that dragon the same age as mine? Like, what am I doing wrong? But it could be, what are they doing wrong too? You know what I mean? But right away,
Yeah,
I think, what am I doing wrong?
The sad thing is that they
more calories too. So when you're giving your dragon, a lot of people don't think about it, but your fat calories are different than your protein. Like your protein's being broken down really quickly, goes through the dragon fast, and helps beneficially. Fat is good in small amounts for like boosting calories, but you don't want high fat insects or feeding products, whatever you're using, all the time, constantly.
Yeah. And unfortunately, people kind of connect a dragon that eats a lot, that is obese. They connect that with a healthy dragon, and it's not really the case,
Yeah, I don't want to call anybody out, but there is a few people that every picture they post, their bearded dragons almost look like they're just gorged with water in their balloons, and that's not healthy at all.
No.
The babies they produce, don't get me wrong, are beautiful, and they're doing a great job, but what they're breeding, you can tell that they think feeding more often during breeding season or all year long is going to produce more babies or more eggs.
Yeah. So don't overfeed, don't power feed.
For sure. All right. Next question. We kind of might have answered this already, but what is the biggest mistake you see new breeders doing?
There's a couple of them, but I think the biggest one is buying a dragon from Craigslist, man. Like just buying a dragon from like anybody, and then hey, look, I'm gonna breed this dragon, and you don't know what this dragon is. You don't know, you don't know the background on this dragon. So, I think that's a huge mistake. And the other one is just lack of research. I mean, a lot of people don't know that you can't put we lost Josh. That you can't.
He'll hop back in.
That you can't do a trans with a trans, or that you can't do a 0 with a 0. Like I recently had to tell somebody, no, you can't buy this dragon, because he was showing me the female he wants to pair it to, and he wanted to do a 0 to 0 pairing. And I was like, no, look, that's not right. You can't do that. And I could tell that he wasn't going to listen to me. So I'm like, can't sell to you later. So.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate. I do see a lot of people not understanding, so because there's not a lot of information out there on what actually happens when you do breed like a wit to a wit, or when you do a visual to a het, anything besides hypo, there's not a lot of information out there or evidence that people put out showing you what actually happens. But you'll hear it right here. Neurological problems,
growth
tail
issues,
kinks, growth issues, organ issues that you don't even know about.
A lot of internal issues.
You end up getting a lot of twisted up organs and intestines, and the bearded dragon dies soon after birth, and you lose a lot.
So overall, it's just not good. Like research everything. Like if you plan to breed, do some research on the dragon you just bought. You got to know like what the parents are, what the grandparents are, what this breeder that you're buying it from has going on. So just again, research.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that do know, hypo is the only visual that you can do together. everything else you want to do head to head. If you guys didn't know that already, you should always do head to head. It increases the genetics of the offspring. So when the offspring are born, whatever visuals you do have are genetically stronger than they would be if you did a visual to a visual. We talked about all the problems. You know, it's just really not worth it. When you know the outcome, that probably a quarter of the dragons aren't going to live to 30 days and the rest of them could die within the year. There's really no point in doing it unless you're greedy and you're trying to sell babies that you know are going to eventually die and are not genetically strong.
Somebody just mentioned they're in it for the money. That's exactly what it is. Either that or they just didn't do enough research to know exactly what the heck they're doing.
Yeah, and believe it, there's some mill breeders out there that are doing it that don't care how many offspring that they do lose because they just produce so many that, you know, losing a couple really isn't going to hurt them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, as a new breeder, what do you think people should do to prepare? Like,
For
what is
breeding?
the number one thing that you should already have in store prepared when you have this crazy idea, hey, I'm going to breed bearded dragons?
You should have a lot of money in your bank account because it's going to cost a lot of money for you to feed those.
I was just about to say that or a feeder colony of some sort.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely have a feeder colony, or like I said, just be prepared financially because, I mean, if you're just starting and you produce a clutch, like that's going to put you in the hole for sure.
Yep.
You know, so for sure. So I would say there'll be a few things that I would recommend. Feeders for sure, and then an outlet. Like, dude, what are you gonna do when you just started, nobody knows you, and you have 60 babies from 2 different clutches? You know, 60 babies that you need to offload. What are you gonna do? Like, you know,
so yeah,
find an outlet.
that's actually what I would say is the biggest thing to be prepared for is marketing yourself as a person. Like, be ready. Don't get in. I think you should have a website. I think you should have an Instagram. I think you should have all this before you ever even pair your dragons. You should have some type of outlet to move your own dragons, and then possibly do, you know, some networking. Talk to local pet stores, not Petcos, not PetSmarts, but like local pet stores, family owned, stuff like that, or other breeders that do move a lot of dragons and can't keep up with demand. That way you can possibly move some to them at a wholesale price. But definitely prepare marketing wise, or you're just going to be stuck spending all your money on growing up 30, 40 bearded dragons. And that's only if you produce one clutch and if your dragon doesn't produce multiple clutches. So,
I think that's the biggest reason most people get out. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to breed bearded dragons, and then you produce 60 babies, and then, you know, it just turns into a big shit show. Like, you have tail nips, toe nips because you don't have enough feeders. It turns into you can't sell them, and then you get discouraged, and then you bail.
6 dragons I'm going to have to discount, and probably for like shipping only, just because they've got tail nips. Like, it's so annoying, and that's something you're going to have to deal with. So as soon as that dragon gets a tail nip, and if it's minor, most of the time, people aren't going to care. But once you get some like decent ones where you can tell it's going to be a little stubby, that dragon, it's not worthless because none of these animals are worthless. That's the whole reason we're doing this. But a lot of people aren't going to pay, you know, top dollar for something that and I swear people are so nitpicky when they buy something. They expect, you know, jewels to just show up. And when you're taking care of 90 dragons, they might not necessarily look beautiful. You know, they could be in shed. There could be multiple things that happen in transportation. By the time, you know, 30 days, if you're not happy with what you have and it's already gone through a shed, it's gained some weight, most people are going to be like, okay, well, we'll take back whatever we had or refund. If not, then you could probably get rid of it. But dragons, a lot of people, I think, like we talk about all the time, the red ones with the black bars, like they have this crazy thought in their head of what it's gonna be, and then it shows up and it's cold and it's dull and they're all upset and they don't understand why. But give it at least 7 days to
Yeah.
fire
To
up,
acclimate.
to get adjusted. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing that really you got to be prepared for when you're marketing is one, advertise what you have way before you're ready to sell it. Like, you can't just be ready to sell it, put it on the market, and then think that everyone's going to buy it because you have the best shit in the world. Because I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless you produce the clutch like Ruby's, which, I mean, he's been hyping that up for like 2 years now. Like, since Titan has been a baby, people have been wanting this clutch.
And he delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. Delivered is
Yeah.
an understatement. That is amazing.
For sure.
So
Really nice.
I want to get a female to put to Magnum, my hypo trans leatherback from KP, and then next year Nova, my female, or probably in like 2 years, my female Nova that's with Churro right now, her paired up with a male from that clutch, be killer.
Yeah.
But that's only if she doesn't prove out to be wit. If she does prove out to be wit, I'll just have to keep her with something that's heifer wit, because I can't pass up on that.
Yeah. Churro.
All right. Next question. When do you know if a bearded dragon is... Actually, hold on. Before I ask this question, let me go through some of the questions, because I told people I was going to answer questions. I don't want to be a liar. There's a lot of freaking questions tonight. Dang, yeah, there's a lot of people in here tonight. Thank you guys for all the support, for tuning in tonight. Someone said Weebly Reptiles will talk about newer dragons. I'm guessing that's the newer morphs and stuff.
Wait, say it again?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Weebly?
On YouTube, yeah. Weeby Reptiles?
Weeby Reptiles will talk about newer dragons.
Yeah, so Weeby was like 10 years ago. I don't know if he's still around.
Yeah, he does bullies though. He breeds dogs now.
Yeah, I've seen him breed dogs, but I haven't seen him. I think he's done with
the dragons, yeah.
So the lizard mom, I actually put this question. I think I'm going to ask this question later, but I'll ask you right now anyways. She said, what's the best way to introduce your dragons and when? Meaning, should you introduce early, often, or etc.?
How to introduce them, like...
I'm guessing for breeding. So your female's of weight, she's 2 years old. Your male's at least 2 years old. Everybody's of weight. How do you introduce them? Do you put the male in the female's cage, the female in the male's cage?
I usually do. I mean, and again, there's a couple different ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
But what I like to do is I like to put the female in the male's cage.
Yep.
And then let them do their thing. Once you put her in there, you'll know. Well, you should know if she's gonna take or not. So it should only take a few, maybe 10 minutes or so, and then take her back out, and then do it again in a day, or if it's early in the day, do it again at the end of the day. That's what I like to do, just to get better of a chance for, a good lock.
I like doing 3 locks and then calling it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for those of you guys that don't know what a receptive female is, that's actually my next question. So we're going to hit on that real quick. A receptive female, you'll see like head bobbing. They'll do the arm bobbing. She might run away a little bit and play hard to get, but you won't see her getting upset and turning to the side and trying to bite him. That is not receptive. Yeah. She is not playing super hard to get. Mm-hmm. That just means she does not want to.
Yeah. So from what I've seen, females, if they're receptive, like you said, they won't fight back, right? They also do this little arch on the tail, like they kind of lift their tail. Even if the male hasn't locked her, they arch their tail, and that's kind of a telltale sign to know, okay, the male is actually going to get her this time.
Yep.
Flies in
I,
the
I call
female.
it the scorpion. When they start
Yeah.
scorpioning,
Mhm.
I know that the female, she's doing the head bobbing, she's doing the hand waving. She's like, "Come over here, pretty boy," and then she lifts her skirt or does the scorpion.
Mhm.
You already know
Yeah, you
if
already
he
know.
if he's a
A lot
good
of
one, he's gonna go knock
yeah,
that up real quick.
a lot of times they're like, "Hey, my male won't lock with my female. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know what's wrong with him." And in reality, there's nothing wrong with him. It's just your female not wanting it right now. So,
Yep.
And
it's
don't
not your
leave them
male.
together because that just makes the situation worse. You
Yeah.
will,
So
you'll either stress them both out, you'll stress one of them out. Usually, like John was saying, you want to do 10, 15 minutes of like supervised little visitations. I personally used to not and would leave the female in for a couple hours and then leave and come back. The problem with that is a couple of my females got their tails bitten and I wasn't really happy with that. So now we only do supervised visits over here at the Red Sun. No biting tails. We're not into that.
another reason I don't like to leave them together and let them do the thing is a couple reasons. First of all, you don't know if they lock, right?
They're locked. Yep. The
And
biggest
second
thing.
of all, if the female's not receptive and the male keeps just trying and trying and trying, he's gonna throw her into a cycle and she's gonna cycle out bad eggs. So there goes the season for the female. If you're gonna do the right thing, you're gonna let her rest up and then try again next year. If you're gonna be pushy, you're gonna keep trying her even though she already gave you infertile, and you're gonna stress her out. You're gonna deplete her, and then you potentially could kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes a lot of calcium out of them to make eggs, you guys. So, like we've said multiple times, the reason you don't put young females and young males together is because you can make them go into an egg cycle early. They're not fertile. They don't have to lock. Just being around a male can cause her to go into that cycle.
Yeah.
So that's something you when you're introducing your dragons, don't do it at like a young age where you think they have to, be boyfriend and girlfriend at 8 months and you slowly raise them up together. Wait till both dragons are mature, ready to go before you introduce them. That's very important.
And if they're two males, don't introduce them at all. Don't make them fight so you get a good picture.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about who did that.
Yeah, but don't introduce them to males. Not throwing shade.
If you guys want your dragons to fire up, spray some water on them and throw them in a black cage with UVB. It brings out the color great. Natural UVB. Don't be fucking editing your pictures. That shit is so annoying. I hate when other people edit their pictures because then your pictures get sent to me and they're like, "Do you have a dragon like this?" And I'm like, "No, because that dragon's fake."
$150.
Yeah, no, get out of here. All right, let's touch on some more questions. From what I gather, when they walk, their belly shouldn't touch the ground. So
very correct.
That's correct, yeah. But when they're like actually walking, you guys, when they're just resting, like of course their belly's gonna touch the ground. Don't be making a dragon like hella skinny.
That goes back to
what
structure
I like
too,
to say
though.
is the bloated gut. So if you can see the round sides from their belly, like in that middle scaling on the sides that poke out, if there's a little bubble, a pretty decent bubble on the side and your dragon's not gravid, it's probably overweight.
Yeah.
Because dragons, not that they should be super lean, but most dragons, don't look fat until they're gravid, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later too.
Yeah, there's structure. Like if your dragon is slim but has a thick tail, thick fat pads, that's a good-looking dragon. That's the correct structure you want to go for.
Yeah, when he drops a big turd, he should have some wrinkles or a little deflation on the side, and you fill him up with some water and food again. This should be a continuous cycle, not your dragon just constantly bloated. That's not what you guys are looking for.
Yeah.
Did you just freeze, or is it me? No, he froze.
Yeah, probably. My signal is shit, guys. Sorry.
You have a far drive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, some are in it for the money. And I also want to say, like, if you ever catch a breeder doing something like shady or you catch on to something and you bring it to light, so, you know, I don't let anybody bully you into thinking, you know, that you're the one doing the wrong in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, that's been going around a little bit. I feel like some people have been getting bullied.
Yeah.
Bugs. JK Dragons. Christy said, when you have a baby or you plan on having babies, make sure you got lots of bugs.
Yeah. Lots of bugs. If you don't, you're gonna be broke.
You're still gonna be broke anyways,
someone
but
said-
you'll be more broke.
Yeah.
Someone said it perfect right here. How I feel whether it's nipped or not doesn't change their personality. Price, yes. However, personality not. That's perfect.
That's correct.
So,
That's correct.
you know, when you got scratched rims on your car, you know, it's not going to be as expensive or the same price as right off the lot with brand new rims. So,
Yeah.
it's understandable. Prices have to be adjusted.
100%.
What's up, everybody? Josh, you got a message somewhere on here.
Yeah, I saw
Bought a
it.
badass hypo normal scale genetics drive 66% het trans from Josh. Super excited. Someone's super excited, Josh.
Yeah.
Good job, Josh.
Appreciate
Josh
it,
is
man. Yeah.
killing it over
I hope
here, guys.
you like them, bro.
So if you haven't got a dragon from my man already, he keeps calling them citruses too, but they're really nice orange. They're like tangerines.
Hey, I'm gonna start
Nice.
telling people to figure out whatever color they think, because some people are like, I want that red dragon. I'm like, he's not red, but all right, cool, yeah, he's available.
Wait, so there's no pink dragons? What? Hey, did you guys see that the Thunderbolt from Liberty? That dragon's badass.
Yeah, that's a cool dragon.
What the hell is Thunderbolt?
Yeah,
I
all right,
don't
so
understand
that's
what
the
that
end
is.
of the question list. Let's get back to my questions, you know, the ones that I worked really hard at. You guys keep
Do it.
asking me some of them, though, so taking my questions away. All right, I think Josh touched on this a little bit, but let's get into it a little bit more. How many times should you let your dragons lock before you stop putting them together?
So
I like 3. That's
I mean, honestly, it could with one lock, you could be good. Wait, what?
What was that, Josh?
Josh is breaking up again, huh?
I think 3 is my perfect.
Yeah,
happy
he said he
medium
liked
because-
3.
I don't know.
That's why Josh gets so many random clutches, because he be breeding his girls so many times.
Yeah, hey,
He's
Well, we
got
can't-
like,
he
No.
got like 5 clutches from one girl.
So I like to do it a couple times, 2-3 times, you know, just to ensure that he got in there, because sometimes they don't get in there.
they miss. Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I've noticed, which is like super gross, but sometimes the boys or the girls pull out and pull away, and it looks like most of their shit ended up on the cage.
Yep.
yeah,
Because
Or
the
on
cage
her
is
leg.
really gross, you know. So I'm not gonna say what it dropped, but his Jesus juice is all over the freaking cage, and
baby
I feel
better.
like maybe not all of it got inside there. So sometimes, you know, 2-3 is the perfect. I have one Whiplets male that I swear I'm not sure what happens, but this dude has to walk like 3 or 4 times, and I still have not got a clutch from him. So I don't know if he's shooting blanks or what's wrong with him.
Could
Maybe
be.
my girl, but
Could be.
I had a male that I bred to 3 different females, and they all laid infertile, and it sucked. He's the one on my logo, and he's retired.
oh, you can't get rid of him now, bro.
You gotta change your name to Infertile Dragons.
I
Yeah.
swear to God. No, yeah, he's a little mascot now. He's just a retired boy. He just hangs out.
Dang, shooting blanks.
Shooting blanks. Blanks
Like,
exotic.
said if he's
That was so tragic though. I mean, I'm like, okay, 1 clutch, I get it. 2 clutches, I'm like, 3 clutches, I'm like, fuck.
Christy said her virgin male's got to be at least 2-3 times, especially the virgins. Which,
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
makes sense.
Virgins.
You know,
Those
first year
virgins.
males, they gotta really they gotta get it in. They gotta get experienced. I got one male. It doesn't matter what you put in his cage. He's gonna nail it right away.
I got a male like that too, Mega Man.
Oh, I know. You got like 10 clutches from this guy.
Man, yeah,
I'm pretty sure he knocked up every dragon you got over there.
yeah, he did.
How old is Mega Man?
He'll be 3 this summer.
Oh, so he's a young boy.
Yeah, he's still young. Yeah.
If you guys want to ask any questions, just ask them in the chat. I'm not going to bring anybody else into the live just because I can't really control what you do. And I want to put this on YouTube, so I don't want you to mess up my YouTube video. So I've had, you know, very long talks with these guys. Everybody knows the rules. Sorry, so can't just bring the randoms in, you guys. No stray dogs.
Yeah. What are we getting more questions? Because I think it just kind of stopped for me unless nobody's asking any more questions.
Yeah, there's a couple. Do they have a book or something to know what type of dragon to breed with each other? So I literally have a whole video on YouTube.
Yeah.
That you can look up what morphs are breedable together, why you breed them together. So definitely check out. I think it's a genetic mess on YouTube, but on my YouTube channel, Red Zone Reptiles. So it's either a genetic mess or the other genetic video, but they're literally one after another. So definitely check those out because we explain everything what you should be breeding to and how you do it, all the cool stuff.
I just posted a website. Check that website out. It's got a lot. So that's the one I was talking about earlier. That's got a lot of good info on like hair, lighting, feeders, and then it's got all the info on morphs. I don't know if it has info at like what to breed to a morph or what not to breed, but it's a good link to check out regardless.
Once you know what the morphs are, just know that you have to, you can't breed visual recessive dragons to another visual recessive dragon. You got to do het recessive to het recessive. Just that's all you need to know. Whatever morph you look at, if it says recessive morph, just know that you have to do het to het pairings.
You just lost everybody with that word recessive.
I was just about to tell you that.
Oh, my bad.
Just check out his video. Just tell him to check out your video, dude.
Yeah, check out the video. I bring it all down to the beginner level.
Yeah.
All right, John, since you taught me this with tegus, I want to know your input on this with bearded dragons. This was kind of a personal question. I did do it this year. It did seem to work out better for me, but should you put your dragons through brumation before breeding?
Absolutely. So brumation is like a very, very important part of breeding. So definitely, you know, different temperatures around the country, but once you start getting, like in the fall, like once you start getting into what would I say, like the 60s at night, maybe, is when you should start prepping them for brumation, and then make sure that your temps are low enough for them to kind of kickstart their brumation. If they don't brumate, if you don't let them brumate, because they'll brumate naturally, but if you don't let them brumate, if you keep your temps up all year round because you think you're doing the right thing, expect low fertility or expect problems breeding next season.
So for those of you guys that don't know, I see the question already, what brumation is. Brumation is reptile hibernation. It is the few months out of the year that they slow down their metabolism. They go dormant for a while, less activity. They like to sleep. Mostly, I've seen with bearded dragons, they do tend to wake up every like week or two and will kind of come out for like a day, maybe go back. But for the most part, they will stay asleep and wait for the temperatures to start coming warm again. So you'll see a really inactive dragon. They're not really hungry. Their metabolism's low, and they're not starving, you guys. Dragons build up a fat deposit in their tails, and that's what they live on during brumation. So you'll notice that they start getting a big tail before that time starts to come. They prepare for it like a bear would by putting on weight. But they just store fat in their tails so that they can live off of those calories during the few months that they're down. It's different with everyone since we keep bearded dragons in captivity and they're not in the wild. And they're most likely like at least 10th generation bred captivity. They don't know the natural like summers and winters in Australia. So really it's just when you lower your temperatures and when you up your temperatures again, you can control the brumation process with your animals. Usually what I do is like April, June, July, like August to December, like around that time is when I start doing brumation, and I bring them back in the beginning of the year. I start warming up everything. I don't do it that whole entire process, just that's when I start preparing for everything.
Watching out for it.
Yeah, I start feeding a little heavier with some fat so that they can build up those deposits in their tail. Just stuff like that. I usually switch out the bulbs and do less basking time at that time, which actually this year I won't have to do because I've been doing what John has with the 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. I might just cut the 2 hours at night out and just do the 2 hours in the morning to get them to start kickstarting that brumation before I bring the temps down all the way.
Yeah, so I pretty much do something very similar. I shorten their light cycle, like UVB and heat. So what I do is I usually do it around October, like September, October. Is I get my my timers and I start setting them to like I go from like a 12-hour light cycle to like 8, and then 4, and then 2, and then once they're under their little paper or under the little hide and sleeping consistently for a few days, I just shut their light off and just let them sleep with no lights, nothing. Keep it cool in there. It makes it kind of tough because I'm in my garage, and in Arizona, even in October, we'll still get like 90, temps. So I have to turn up the AC sometimes to kind of give them that cooling period. And then babies that are not going to brumate, I have to keep their lights on, their heat lights on longer to compensate for the cooler temps in the garage itself. So it's a process.
And for those of you guys that are asking right now, you kind of want to keep a constant temperature. You don't want the temperature to fluctuate too much. So if you can get your temperatures to stay around like 65 degrees for that process of time that they're sleeping, that's really, that would help you out tremendously to keep the temperatures at a steady like 65. You don't want them to fluctuate night and day. Then they start kickstarting the wake-up process. You want to keep the temps low and cool.
So that's an important piece to breeding. Brumation, super key. Like people underestimate how important brumating is. So if you get your animal to brumate, you'll notice it right away. Next season, the ease of her becoming receptive is completely different.
Yeah, so that's what I noticed this year. Is last year I did not put my dragons through brumation, and breeding was a little bit of a pain in the ass. My females were not as receptive. This year, I swear, like the girls were about to rape the boys when they came out of that. They came out and woke up and were eating.
That's a sign right there.
And
aggression from the female.
Were running over there on them, like shaking their ass, like, "Hey!" I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" So yeah, definitely, I think it improved a lot for what I got going on this year. So that was very helpful. I'm glad we went over that. So for those of you guys that didn't know what brumation is, now you guys know. And if you're not doing it, definitely try to implement that in your process.
Yeah.
What age should the dragons be starting the brumation cycle? So I would say naturally, just let them, when you see them normally start doing. I don't see most dragons under the age of 2 trying to brumate. And that's another reason with your female not being ready to breed is you probably should wait until your first brumation cycle with a female before you try to breed her. And if she's 1 year old and still eating, growing, she's not going to go through that brumation cycle like an adult would that doesn't have growing bones, growing muscles, stuff like that, that is already set in size and has those fat deposits build up. Most babies will not have those fat deposits built up and shouldn't be put through the brumation cycle because then you're just starving a baby.
Unless they want to. So I'll touch on that just from my own experience and what I've learned. There's other reptiles that no matter what age, like tegus, for example, you'll hatch a clutch of tegus, and then they usually hatch, late summer or whatever-ish. And then in the fall, they'll start going into brumation. Even though they're only like 2 months old, 3 months old, they'll go through brumation. And they stay small. And then like in February, when they snap out of it, they're just monster eaters. But they brumated. So what? And I'm not 100% certain on this, but I think that if your temps are too cool and you have a little small juvenile, it could brumate.
Yeah.
So, and then you think that the dragon it's not eating, it's unhealthy or whatever, but it's really just brumating. And in the spring it'll kind of snap out and then just start eating like a monster and just growing normal.
Yeah, you will definitely see growth spurts. I've noticed that some dragons will just kind of be, I got a couple yearlings that have just been kind of chill, and I've noticed within the last 2 months that they've almost doubled in size.
Yeah.
So and also, before I forget, when you're gonna manually put dragons in brumation, I think a fecal is always good to do before you have them kind of settle in for a month or 2 months.
Yeah, because you don't want them to sleep with any parasites in them because then that's just terrible. And another thing is you don't want you don't want to feed them super heavy when you know they're going to go into brumation. Like you want to give them some time to get the food out of their gut. You want to feed them heavy to prepare for brumation, but I mean like a week, 2 weeks before they go into brumation, you want to make sure that they're passing all the food out, that they don't have a full stomach, because the full stomach is not going to digest when the temperatures are going to go down. He's going to get gut rot.
Yeah, he's going to get, So
definitely make sure he's got an empty stomach. And also you can get impaction issues later on when he comes out of brumation if he did have stuff in there. So
for sure.
All right, next question, guys. Do you feed heavier during breeding season?
Yeah.
The females for sure. I'll feed heavier. Naturally, just they're hungrier on this time because temps and everything. So yeah. But if that person whoever asked that, but if they're asking to feed heavier because of breeding, I would say yes, especially your females, and extra calcium, extra supplements. So yeah.
With the males, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I don't think they're going to be any more in the mood because they're heavier. But your females, definitely, I feel like feeding them more is also a good thing because when they're making the eggs, I don't know if it produces more eggs, but they need more nutrition because they are making it. So if they're feeding a little heavier, even if they're infertile eggs, it takes a lot of energy. So if you can feed heavier during those cycles of the year, it's not going to be detrimental to your process. That's for sure. It's only going to help you. It's not going to be against you at all.
Yeah.
All right. How can you tell when a female is gravid and ready to lay? And I see this question asked a lot. Some people say
they'll tell you.
Yeah. So what you'll see it, but what you're looking out for is just kind of a restless dragon, just going from side to side in the cage, scratching in the corners, and you'll know when she's gravid. I mean, not always, because there's some females that are already fat, and you won't really know that she's gravid. If she has infertiles, you definitely won't know because she
Yeah,
won't
she
get
won't
much
swell
bigger.
up as much. You'll just
Yeah.
come in there one day and she'll
And
have
typically,
eggs all over the cage.
you could feel them when
Yeah.
you could feel the eggs.
You could feel them, and if you lift her up, you could see the belly looks like it's a bag of marbles, and and again, going back to what their actions is, they're going back and forth in the cage digging, and then also physically you can see some signs. The little fat pads that they have in their head, when they're getting ready to lay, they sink down. Their tail kind of sinks
Yeah,
in.
they get really dehydrated. They push all the water to their gut to get the eggs to come out.
They look like complete shit when they're
Yeah, they're
laying
depleted.
after laying.
They're depleted. So that's one thing you look out. But yeah, like you said, Josh, people you'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely you'll see your dragon almost look dehydrated, maybe dull in color, and
Aggravated.
very high anxiety, running around. Digging is if you have substrate, they'll probably be tearing it up. If you don't, you'll see them in a corner just digging.
Yeah.
And usually, if you start seeing those digging signs, put her in a lay box and just leave her there until you start seeing her lay the infertile eggs that she has or the fertile eggs.
Yeah. Sometimes some females are finicky, so sometimes what I do is I put her in there, wait an hour or so. If she's not digging, take her back out, and then just repeat until she's actually ready to start digging.
Usually when they're ready, that's all their mind is set on, and they are going to find a hole and not stop digging until they lay those eggs.
Yeah.
So we'll go back through real quick. I did see, I still can't feel the eggs. I have tried. So it's not like you're not gonna feel super hard eggs because they come out soft, but you will feel almost like organs in there, like soft lumps. And I'm telling you, if she has 18 or more eggs, you're gonna see the lumps on the side of the dragon. Where they have their side spikes, you will see little lumps. It won't be a smooth fat like she's bloated. You will see small lumps when she's getting ready. Someone said, I missed a lot, but did you guys talk about giving the bearded dragons probiotics? I actually, I don't give my dragons probiotics. I don't know really anything. Maybe that's in the calcium I already have. I don't know what probiotics you speak of.
I only really give probiotics if you give an antibiotic, or I'll do it sparingly, like randomly.
All right, John, do you give your someone asked, do you give your bearded dragons any probiotics?
Yeah, I do it throughout the year just because it's good for them.
Wait, what do you give them?
But not weekly, right? You don't give it weekly?
No. Probiotics?
What probiotics are you giving them?
So I go onto a site and then I just buy actual probiotics, and it's a powder, and you could just spray it on their feeders. And
this is all new to me. This is something that I'm glad someone asked that because I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah. So it's not detrimental, but it's definitely beneficial to them. So probiotics and like other stuff, like you've heard of people giving them bee pollen, right?
Yeah, so I definitely give bee pollen just because it has like great amino acids. It's great for the immune system.
Yeah.
It's almost a meal for them anyways. It has it's food and supplements and I guess is it probiotics too then?
Yeah, so it's kind of similar, just for healthy gut stuff.
There's a brand called Benevac. They have it for dogs, cats, horses, goats, reptiles, birds, and it's a little syringe, and on the back of the syringe there's little like dosages, and
so
you kind
Christy,
of you're dragging out and you give it whatever.
Probiotics, you want to look for what vitamins and stuff that they are using, because if it is a fat soluble vitamin, you definitely don't want to be giving it once a week. Then you're just going to be building up that in the fat of your bearded dragons. So definitely look at what probiotics you guys are using. John said he uses it throughout the year. What would you say? How often do you use it?
I don't know, like maybe once a month.
Okay, so not a huge huge deal.
It's
If you guys are giving bee pollen, which you can do bee pollen like all the time. Like, it's not really detrimental. And it's not gonna hurt it's not gonna affect. It might be actually I take that back. It might be high in fats too, so you might not want to do bee pollen all the time. But I give bee pollen like once a week, just to get them to eat their greens. I don't know what it is, but it gets them attracted to it.
You can feed your feeders bee pollen too, and they love it.
Yeah, the roaches.
Yeah. So.
Don't give probiotics. Maybe I should. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because that seems like, something a lot of people didn't know about. Some people aren't doing, and I literally had no idea about that. And I guess I'm kind of already doing it, so that's cool. I'm glad I'm on top of that without knowing. That's a win. Ahead of the game. I get the liquid and give it orally. Christy says she's got some liquid stuff. Okay.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know she got a lot of dragons. She working hard over there. All right, guys. Also, I wanted to ask, when you're having a female that isn't receptive, what are some of the problems that you could be having? Is it that she's just doesn't want to have babies anymore? Is she maybe infertile? Is it not the season? Like, what are some reasons that female dragons wouldn't be receptive?
So I would say a lot of them is going to just be either a lack of brumation or an improper brumation, age, age or size not ready, just internally not ready.
If someone asked the age and size again, John already said usually it doesn't have to do with how big the dragon is. It's size and sexual maturity of the organs. You want to give your females proper time to fully grow on the inside, like their organs grow. They might be big on the outside, but that doesn't necessarily mean all their organs are finished growing on the inside, you guys. That's what you want to be.
Yes.
Oh, shit, we got the final timer of 1 minute and 54 seconds. So if you guys got any last minute questions, you got 1 minute and 30 seconds to get them in before the podcast is over. Damn, usually it never gives us, the 1 hour timer. It's crazy.
Probably updated.
That's terrible.
So Blaze Bearded Dragons asked about females that get egg bound. So what do you do when a female gets egg bound, or what to look for? So a female that is, trying to lay, pacing back and forth, digging but not getting them out, or not digging, she could be impacted. And if she starts looking pretty rough, it definitely needs to go to the vet. The vet has special, I don't even know the name of it, but it's a they could give it to them. It's a shot they could give to them to make them lay their eggs. I forgot what it's called, but
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, they'll probably just increase the contractions and start making her involuntarily do it. If your bearded dragon is impacted, though, one thing you can try before ever going to vet, not necessarily she's impacted with eggs, but dip a silkworm or a horned worm in castor oil and feed it to your bearded dragon. And put it in warm water. If it doesn't poop within 30 minutes after that and just fill your sink, definitely go see a vet. That is like the sink cleaner right there, the Drano process right there. Yeah.
How long? So here's another question: how long to leave dragons in the incubator?
Till they hatch?
Well, so I don't know if they're asking after they hatch or what.
62 days to start off.